whatnot. He could go any coach in the world that he wanted to go to. Just wait until he finished dealing with certain circumstances. And then after that's out the way, we gotta keep everything behind and just look forward to the future. As we said in this JoJo story, everybody go through something. That's what's going to make them who they're going to be in the future.
So first of all, Tank, this is the Tank era. When did this era start?
Probably like a little over a year ago, or a little under a year.
Coach Calvin Ford has finally spoken about why Gervonta Davis decided to leave him. His comments make Tank's recent changes seem even more significant.
This boxing is changing right in front of our face, and everybody's feeling it, so I want to see what's the next waves coming.
For a long time, Calvin Ford was one of the biggest influences in Tank's corner. He helped train him, improve his skills, and keep him focused on the fighting style that made him so dangerous. So when Gervonta began working with new trainers, fans quickly started wondering what was really happening behind the scenes. That is why Calvin's words caught so much attention. This is about much more than changing gyms. It is about trust, progress, control, and whether Tank believed he needed a different voice to help him reach the next level of his career. Now the bigger question is this. Did Tank leave because he wanted to improve, or because something within the team was no longer right? Either way, whenever Calvin Ford speaks on the situation, the boxing world pays close attention. Then, Jose Benavidez Sr. shared something that confirmed a major change inside Gervonta Davis's camp. According to his post, Tank is now training with Jose Benavidez Sr., showing that he has moved on from his longtime coach, Calvin Ford.
9, 8, 7, power, 6, 5, power, 4, power, 3, 2, one more.
That is exactly why this news grabbed so much attention. Calvin was far more than just another coach in Tank's career. He played a huge role in his rise, his fighting style, and his journey to becoming one of boxing's biggest stars. So when fans saw Jose Benavidez reveal that Tank was now working with him, they immediately started asking what really happened behind the scenes. Did Tank leave Calvin because he wanted a different voice? Was he looking for a new training environment? Or is this all part of a much bigger reset before his next fight? That is what makes this move so important. Tank is not simply changing workouts. He is changing the people around him during one of the most important moments of his career. Whenever a fighter parts ways with a longtime coach before a major comeback, fans naturally wonder whether it is about growth, conflict, or something much deeper. GTD Promotions offered more insight into why Gervonta Davis separated from coach Calvin Ford, making the decision sound more strategic than personal. They posted, "I know many people keep asking why Gervonta Davis moved away from coach Calvin Ford. I can't say everything, but just know Tank made this choice because he wants to focus on his legacy, become a better fighter, and chase the biggest fights possible. This isn't personal, it's business." That statement changed how many fans viewed the split. For a lot of people, leaving Calvin Ford felt emotional because Calvin had been part of Tank's journey from the beginning. He helped develop him, mentor him, and shape the fighter fans know today. But according to Editorial, Tank did not leave out of disrespect. He made a business decision because his goal is to improve his legacy and secure the biggest fights available. Then Boxing Massacre shared a much stronger opinion about Gervonta Davis joining Jose Benavidez Sr., and he actually believed it was a positive move. He posted, "I don't understand why people think working with David Benavidez's father will hurt Tank. From a skill standpoint, Tank is already one of boxing's best fighters. The question has always been his mentality. Jose Sr. can improve that." He also claimed Calvin Ford's emotional approach was something Tank no longer needed, saying those emotions influenced many of Tank's poor decisions. Even if some fans disagree, he believes Calvin took Tank as far as he possibly could. According to Sean Porter, Gervonta Davis chose Jose Benavidez Sr. simply because he feels comfortable around him. That makes the decision sound much less dramatic than many people believe. Sean explained that fighters do not always switch coaches because of arguments or bad relationships. Sometimes they simply need a fresh setting, a different voice, and someone who helps them feel completely focused. At this stage of Tank's career, comfort is extremely important. If Jose Sr. gives him the confidence, discipline, and energy he needs, then that explains the move. It does not erase everything Calvin Ford did. It simply means Tank believes Jose is the better fit for the next chapter of his career.
I feel like he's comfortable with Jose. And just telling y'all what I know, sometimes that's all it takes. Whatever's going to get this light flip up, turned on, and keep it on, sometimes it's comfort. I just need somebody that I feel comfortable with, that I can be myself with, and that, when I'm ready to move, they moving. When they ready to move, I'm moving. And I feel like he thinks he has that with Jose.
Anthony Brenna and Sean Zittel viewed the situation from a different perspective. They still believed Calvin Ford remained the right coach for Gervonta Davis. In their opinion, Calvin was much more than someone Tank simply walked away from. He was part of the foundation that helped build his career. He guided Tank through important stages, understood his fighting style, and knew how to reach him in ways many coaches could not. So even if Tank currently feels more comfortable with Jose Benavidez Sr., that does not automatically mean Calvin was the problem. That is why they offered a more balanced opinion. They understood why Tank might want a fresh environment or a new voice, but they also made sure Calvin received credit for everything he had already accomplished. To them, Calvin helped create the fighter that fans respect today, and that work should not be forgotten simply because Tank decided to make a change.
It's their business, but I don't add up the beef with him and Calvin Ford, really. I guess Calvin may have done an interview or two that Gervonta didn't like, but it's like, that
made no sense, man.
Look, I remember when I saw Truck Simpson spar before Truck tailed off, when he had promise. No offense, Truck, much love to you. But when Truck was 18, 19 years old, and it was like, oh, this kid, he has talent. He has real upside. He threw his punches in the same way Gervonta Davis did. He had a lot of the same kind of rhythm that Gervonta did. And that's what made me go, Calvin is a good trainer. Even though Calvin didn't move the needle for Jahan Ingram over the weekend. Jahan Ingram lost to Devin Cushing. It didn't look like Calvin had a big impact on him winning, and he wound up losing to Devin Cushing. Devin Cushing, bigger guy anyways. But when I saw Truck do that, I go, okay, so Calvin has an imprint.
Then Fennon shared his opinion on the real reason Gervonta Davis decided to leave coach Calvin Ford, and his explanation was completely different from everyone else's.
One of the reasons that he's no longer with Coach Kenny and Coach Calvin. And I think it's an important thing to say because it's not all on Coach Calvin, and it's not all on Coach Kenny, and it's not all on Gervonta Davis. I have been paying attention to that camp for a while. I know people in that camp. I know people around that camp. And I can tell you without a doubt that the major issue with Gervonta Davis and that particular camp was the fact that there's so many paid snitches in his camp. It was replete with family members and other people who, whenever they got a piece of information about Gervonta Davis, would try to go out and give that information to somebody else in exchange.
According to Fennon, the decision was not simply about training, comfort, or building a legacy. He believed there were too many people talking, too many leaks, and too many individuals sharing private information. That completely changes how fans view Tank's decision. If a fighter feels that confidential information is constantly leaving the camp, then changing teams becomes more than a boxing decision.
Trust issue.
Gervonta is looking up at the internet, seeing what's being said about him, hearing this information coming out about himself and saying, man, where is this coming from? Originally, and this was a couple years ago, I remember when Gervonta started getting upset with it and he started blocking people and getting mad about stuff. And he started telling Kenny and Calvin, that basically not to be announcing things, not to say things about who he's going to fight next or what he's going to do next, because Gervonta started getting irritated about that. I also know that Calvin Ford stopped talking to the media for a long period of time. Kenny Ellis stopped talking to the media about Gervonta in that way, because they were appeasing Gervonta and Gervonta's desire to have that information kept in-house, right? So to the extent that they were having conversations that Gervonta Davis didn't want to have, they had nipped that in the bud several years ago. However, what happened is you have family members and other members in the gym that have connections with people that have Twitter pages, connections with people that have YouTube pages, and they continued, the people with the Twitter pages and the YouTube pages continue to pay these people money for inside information about Gervonta, and he got very distrustful.
For Tank, privacy is extremely important. He is dealing with major fight negotiations, contract speculation, coaching changes, and pressure from every direction. So if he believed too many people inside the old camp were discussing his personal business, leaving Calvin Ford's team may have been his way of taking back control.
Problem with that, with Gervonta, is when you have spies around him in his family, in the gyms in Baltimore, you have people that leak information that are trying to harm him, right? Because people may be saying, man, where is Gervonta right now? Oh, I can find out where Gervonta Davis is. Get on the phone, call our boy. Is he in Baltimore? Is he? Nah, man, he's not in Baltimore. He's still over there and he's still in Florida. I heard last time I checked, he was at the gym. I gotta find me. I got him on my Find Me app. I can tell you where he is. And then all of a sudden you got girls setting him up. And you got girls knowing exactly where he is, what he's doing. They can time him, set him up, all kind of stuff, because he felt like he got set up in that last crime, in that last case, right? He's like, he can prove that this was a setup. Well, who's going to help set him up? Well, paid informants in your gym. So that's why, a major reason why Gervonta was off looking for somebody else, looking for a new situation. So because he's obviously got, issues in Baltimore, he's got issues in Florida. So he's saying, look, man, I'm about to clear my deck. And I'm going to go out here. I'm going to train with somebody totally different, somebody in a different camp with different people around them that my family may not know, that these people on YouTube don't have access to.
Showbiz the adult reacted to Gervonta Davis leaving coach Calvin Ford, and he believed fans should not rush to judge the decision.
Just saw Jose Benavidez Sr. Instagram, and on his socials, he's showing Gervonta Tank Davis working out in this video, announcing and marketing the new Gervonta Tank Davis on Team Benavidez merchandise. Now, he had a few videos out there showing Gervonta Tank Davis working out and all those things, and I promise you, he could not have made this announcement without Gervonta Tank Davis's blessing. For me, this makes it official, their relationship. And Gervonta Tank Davis and David Benavidez, they've shared their mutual respect for each other. You can tell that there's a genuine like and respect that they have with each other. So I think it's going to be organic. And as far as what to expect from Gervonta Tank Davis going to Team Benavidez, listen, dude, I have personal experience training with those guys and their product in that gym. And I'm telling you, man, what jumps out more than the facility itself and the hyperbaric chambers and shit where you can recover, and of course the food. I mean, it's just chef kissed, beautiful food over there. They definitely getting their grub on. But more than that, more than all of that, is really the family culture. Once you become a part of that team, you're like family.
Showbiz explained that many people act like they know exactly what happened behind closed doors. But the truth is that nobody knows the full story. Tank made the move because he wanted a different voice. He was searching for a new environment. He believed it was the right time to move in a new direction before the biggest fights of his career. He also praised the atmosphere inside the Benavidez gym.
Because the family culture is like the biggest part of being there and what makes Team Benavidez unique. But on top of all of that, it's the work ethic. I'm over there throwing my hands and shit. I mean, I got exhausted quick. And I'm saying, listen, I'm nowhere near fighter shape. But what I'm saying is they're going to teach you form, make you learn it right now, and practice it at a high pace. And that just